Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, it's happened again. Unfortunately, Reece James has got injured. We send him all the best. Hopefully, it's not too serious and he can get on the pitch soon. But in terms of fantasy league, it's important to discuss the options and think about what you might do moving forward if you own him. Now, we'll just start the video by saying I would not rush to replace him before the game week 2 deadline tonight. I just think, we don't have as much information on the injury. We also don't have a lot of information on, possible replacements for him directly or in other teams because we've only had one game week and, you sometimes just need to see a bit more. So if you can, make your team last over the weekend, that's what you've got your bench for, to bring in somebody in case of an injury. I don't think he's going to drop down in price, and then you can make the transfer possibly, after the game week or after the player you're looking at has played during this game week. So the first player we might be looking at next week is Gusto from Chelsea. Now he is only 4 million and 1.5% owned. The pluses for him would be that he's a Chelsea right back, so he's replacing Reece James directly. He did come on for Reece James at the end of the game in the first game week, and he is, like we say, only 4 million. So you're saving 1.5 million, and you'd be getting a Chelsea defender for 4 million in your team. Now, it's unclear as if whether he will start. Chelsea might change the system. He might not be the preferred option. That's what we're saying is you need to maybe have a look this game week. If he starts this game week, then that makes him a lot more appealing to get into your team. I also think Chelsea might buy someone else. The way they've been spending money left, right, and centre, you wouldn't put it past them just to go out and buy a right back from somewhere. There's also, I think it's Diassi. He can also play right back as well. So it'd be really interesting to see how they line up this game week. The next option we're going to go with is Ben Chilwell. Now, he is obviously guaranteed to start for Chelsea. He's 19.6% owned, so a bit more highly owned than Reece James. I think Reece James is about 18% owned. He's a great option anyway. So he's someone that you're probably considering getting into your team before this Reece James injury. So you probably weren't considering to replace Reece James with Ben Chilwell, or at least I wasn't. I've got Reece James in my team. I would have maybe added in Chilwell alongside Reece James. The negatives are he's possibly out of your price range. I think if Ben Chilwell was still 5.5 million, I'd be a lot more keen to say, hey, do that transfer now, before he goes up in price and you get priced out. Because he moved up in price so early on in the game week, that kind of, took that decision away from us a bit. Um, and unfortunately, because he's gone up in that price, you either need money in the bank or you're going to need to take two transfers, wait a game week to take someone else out your team to give yourself enough funds. Now, for me, I definitely wouldn't take a hit to get in Ben Chilwell for Reece James. I just think, it's a bit too knee jerk for me. Let's see the sample size as we go forwards. But he is somebody to keep on your radar, especially if you have two transfers moving into game week 3. It's also unclear what system Chelsea will play consistently. So last game week, Ben Chilwell was pretty much playing as a left winger in a back five. They might move back to a back four against weaker teams just to be able to throw somebody else even further forward into midfield, try and dominate the midfield a bit more rather than kind of hit it out wide like they did against Liverpool. So again, that sample size is really important. Now, the third and final replacement is going to be Sven Botman. Now, he is somebody that's, yeah, you could also get in, say, your Arsenal defender or, your Man City defender if you're feeling really, really risky. Maybe even if you've not got a Stupinan, he's a great option. But I figured, quite a lot of people do have, those players already. So I talk about Sven Botman here. Now I've extended the fixtures on the screen because immediately you don't really want him, but you're gonna want him in 2 weeks anyway. In a couple of weeks, everyone in the video is going to be talking about should he get a Newcastle defender in, and the answer is going to be yes. You absolutely should get a Newcastle defender in once the fixtures have changed. And you save 1 million for elsewhere. Now, whilst that also looks good on paper, it depends on what your plan is to use for that 1 million. I think it's all in good having money in the bank, and especially at this time of year where, let's say, Reece James is injured and you do need a bit more to upgrade to Chilwell, but you have to use that wisely. Just because a player was more expensive at the start of the season doesn't mean they're a better option than every other player that's priced below them. So The negatives for me are you're not going to need him till game week 4 at best. So you're going to get him in, and you're still probably going to want someone on your bench to play instead of Sven Botman. Like, yeah, he could play, and Newcastle could do well, but I wouldn't put money on them keeping clean sheets against Man City away or Liverpool at home. And you'd maybe even look at Brighton fixture if Brighton keep scoring and say, if it's not ideal to have a Newcastle defender, but he's someone that you'd be getting in for the medium term. If you're someone you're going to want anyway, and you can just stash him on your bench for a couple of game weeks, he looks like a good option. He is also highly owned, which can be a positive at this stage of the season. Having a highly owned player means that everyone's in the same boat as you, and if they do well, if you do well, they do well, and vice versa. And if they don't do well, well, you've not lost any ground because a lot of people have them. The downside is that if something happens, in the Newcastle defence or Sven Botman gets injured, you're going to have a transfer or two ready, because if a lot of people transfer him out, he's going to drop down in price, and then you're going to be, you know, priced out of other defensive options if you've spent that 1 million elsewhere in your team. So it's not the end of the world, and it can be positive that it's highly owned, but it does require you to just be a little bit more on your toes in terms of injuries as well. So there are three options. Like we said, you could also get a player from Brighton, Arsenal, even Man City if you're feeling a bit risky. All those players are good options, but I just felt like you probably had options from those teams already. So hopefully this gives you just a bit more information, a bit more options. Like I say, don't rush into it. Give it a bit more time, at least this game week, just to go see. If you are interested in my wildcard team, if you decided just to blow your team up completely, the link for that video should be on the screen now. Likewise, my own team, my preview for game week 2, that should also be on the screen. If you're interested, you've got a bit of time before the deadline. Please do like and subscribe. Greatly appreciated. Thanks for all the support, and I will see you in the next one.